the middle class has long been described as the backbone of modern society. It represents stability, progress, and the promise that hard work leads to a better life. Yet, for millions of people around the world, this promise feels increasingly fragile. Despite steady jobs, education, and constant effort, many middle-class families find themselves trapped, working harder every year, yet falling further behind. This is the middle-class financial trap, a quiet crisis that shapes economies, lifestyles, and futures without always being clearly seen. At its core, the middle-class financial trap begins with income that appears comfortable but is tightly constrained. Middle-class earners typically make too much to qualify for government assistance, yet not enough to build significant wealth. Their lives are balanced on a narrow margin, where regular expenses absorb nearly every paycheck. Housing, transportation, education, healthcare, and insurance consume income before savings can grow. What remains is often just enough to maintain appearances, but not enough to create long-term financial security. Housing is one of the strongest forces pulling the middle class into this trap. In many cities, owning a home is seen as a milestone of success and stability. Yet rising property prices and long mortgage terms mean families commit decades of income to a single asset. While home ownership can build equity over time, it also locks people into fixed costs, monthly payments, taxes, maintenance, and interest that reduce financial flexibility. For renters, the situation is no easier, as rising rents steadily consume a larger share of income, leaving little room to save or invest. Education, once viewed as the great equalizer, has also become a financial pressure point. Middle-class families invest heavily in education, believing it is the safest path to opportunity. Tuition fees, student loans, and private schooling costs often stretch budgets for years or decades. Graduates enter the workforce burdened by debt, limiting their ability to save, take risks, or pursue entrepreneurial paths. Instead of accelerating wealth creation, education debt can delay it, quietly tightening the financial trap. Lifestyle expectations further deepen this cycle. Middle-class life is shaped by social norms, reliable cars, modern technology, vacations, and comfortable living standards. While none of these are luxuries on their own, together they create a pattern of continuous spending. Credit cards, loans, and installment plans make this lifestyle feel affordable in the moment, but over time they convert income into obligations. Debt becomes normalized, and financial stress is hidden behind the appearance of success. Inflation adds another invisible layer to the trap. As prices rise year after year, the cost of living increases faster than wages for many middle-class workers. Groceries, fuel, healthcare, and utilities slowly erode purchasing power. Even small increases, compounded over time, reduce the real value of income. Without assets that grow faster than inflation, the middle class works harder just to maintain the same standard of living. Meanwhile, wealth grows differently at the top. Those who own assets, stocks, businesses, real estate, and investments benefit from compounding returns. Their money works for them, growing even while they sleep. The middle class, by contrast, depends primarily on labor income. Time and effort are exchanged for wages, but there are only so many hours in a day. This difference in how money grows creates a widening gap that effort alone cannot easily close. Taxes also play a role in reinforcing the middle-class financial trap. Middle-income earners often bear a significant tax burden through income taxes, consumption taxes, and payroll deductions. While these taxes fund essential public services, they also reduce take-home pay and limit savings potential. Wealthier individuals, whose income comes from investments rather than wages, often benefit from lower effective tax rates, further accelerating the imbalance. Job security, once a hallmark of middle-class life, has changed as well. Automation, globalization, and technological shifts have made many careers less stable. Skills that once guaranteed lifelong employment can become outdated in a single decade. This uncertainty forces families to prioritize short-term stability over long-term planning, reinforcing cautious decisions that keep them within the trap. Perhaps the most powerful force sustaining the middle-class financial trap is psychological. Fear of falling behind discourages risk-taking. The pressure to appear stable prevents honest conversations about money. Many people blame themselves for financial struggles, believing they simply need to work harder or budget better. Yet the system itself is designed in a way that makes escape difficult without access to assets, financial knowledge, or early advantages. Breaking free from the middle-class financial trap does not mean abandoning responsibility or comfort. It requires a shift in how money is understood and used. Building assets, controlling lifestyle inflation, reducing dependency on debt, and increasing financial literacy are critical steps. More importantly, it requires recognizing that the trap is structural, not personal. Understanding the system allows individuals to make strategic choices rather than emotional ones. On a larger scale, the middle-class financial trap has consequences for entire societies. When large portions of the population feel economically stuck, innovation slows, social trust weakens, and political tension rises. A healthy middle class is essential for long-term economic stability, consumer demand, and democratic resilience. Ignoring this trap risks eroding the very foundation modern economies depend on. The middle-class financial trap is not a sudden collapse, but a slow tightening. It happens quietly, over years, through small decisions, rising costs, and limited options. Yet awareness is the first step towards change. By understanding how the trap works, individuals and societies can begin to redesign systems that reward not just effort, but long-term security and opportunity. In the end, the story of the middle class is not one of failure, but of resilience under pressure. It's a reminder that financial freedom is not only about earning more, but about building systems, personal and collective, that allow progress to last. The question is no longer whether the middle class is struggling, but whether we are willing to confront the structures that keep it trapped and imagine a future where stability leads not to survival, but to true prosperity.